Oh, let's get fresh out here. Gotta feel a little lucky in the building. I feel a little lucky. Things are not looking that great. To say the least. But we're rocking out. Time to get her done. Okay, let me turn on monetization so I can make literal dollar here. Okay. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all your kind souls. I hope the lucky look helps us tomorrow, but it's not looking that likely. Futures, NASDAQ down 1.14%. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not looking so hot out there. Not in the stock world, at least. Regular people don't even know. They don't even have a clue of the devastation we are feeling right now. Ain't that a bitch? Ain't that a bitch? I wanna, I can't get the video to 1,000. Oh, yeah, NASDAQ's getting clapped right now. 1.25% down. No ads for me, please. I got you. No ads for you. I don't think mid-roll ads come up. I don't place them because, wow, what the hell is going on? I don't place them because I get into long-ass rants that teach a lot, and I don't like to, interrupt that for you guys with an ad. That's weird. NASDAQ was just down 1.25% and 1.09%. It is volatile right now, even in the futures market. What the hell is going on? But like I was saying, can't get 1,000 likes on the video, so I can't do the full lucky suit. Can't do the full St. Patrick's Day suit. I can't be a literal leprechaun unless I get 1,000 likes on a video. And just YouTube doesn't want it. They don't want the tendies to be made, apparently. Futures. I want to see the volume on the futures. Oh, yeah, that's high on the S&P. Look at that, 138,000 contracts. Woo. Jeez. May the downtrend continue. Yes, sir. Isn't it like 2 a.m. in the UK right now? That's what I heard. It's like 2 a.m. at this time every night. Yo, what's going on? Yeah, that's some insane volume. Let me refresh that. 138. Yeah, that just went up 1,000 contracts in that 30-ish seconds. Breaking. Putin announces a special military operation in Donbass. Russian President Vladimir Putin says his troops will take action in the separatist-held region of Ukraine he declared independent this week. Wow, 3 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago, U.S. Secretary General in quotes, President Putin, stop your troops from attacking Ukraine. Aviation authorities restrict Ukraine airspace. Restricting the country's airspace starting early Thursday morning and lasting until midnight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Now, you guys know I like to check out this channel from time to time. We'll go ahead and see if there's any cameras in the Donbass region. I don't believe so, but I'll keep this up on the side in case. We'll check back to see if like missiles start flying or some crazy shit, but we'll see about that. Yeah, NASDAQ. Oh, look at that. Down 1.3%. Putin says Russia will launch a military action in eastern Ukraine. Oil, look at that. 2.26%. What's gold doing? Gold up about 0.7%. 0.69%. Yeah, oil, Brent crude up about 2%. Just oil in general, the U.S. 2.34%. Natural gas 1.23%. Interesting. Crypto, yeah, taking a nosedive. I actually got a notification of that not too long ago, and that was pretty interesting. At this rate, 3 a.m. 3 a.m. He said markets clapped. Yeah, markets are clapped. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial. This is the one, the only Simon in the house, baby. Simon in his happy place eating a huge steak. Oh my God, watching the futures crash. That is almost beautiful. Minus the futures crashing. Said, let it burn. We all got puts. We're like, let it burn. Shit, that's funny. That's funny. This is off to an adventurous start. Okay, so I think it's safe to say the lucky, the lucky vibes I'm giving off are like counterintuitive. That's like when I was wearing the see, I figured it would work. I figured Edward Morgan was onto something. But when I was wearing the red Santa hat and we would crash when I was wearing that. So I figured, hey, put on the green, it might help, but as soon as I put it on, everything got clapped. Jesus Christ. At this rate, do you think AMC could squeeze this year, or do you think the squeeze play could possibly spread into 2023 or 2024? I like the long-term outlook, but I think it's this year, but it's not. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Dow futures fall 500 points. I'm seeing 300. They're tweaking. Anyways, yeah, I think it's later in the year. It's not gonna be like next week. At this pace, it could be. Certainly, but we need to see the markets coming down. And I know I sound like a broken record here, but this is really a sideshow. But this also is going to be very important for the markets to come down and to start that fear wave. You need to see fear, but then again, you need to see some kind of systemic problem. And the systemic problem that is in the markets is the simple fact of an economy that expanded super fast with a bunch of free money. It will contract because that free money is gone. And in my personal opinion, companies like Apple, Microsoft might do better, but especially Apple that controls 12% of the NASDAQ that is holding the markets up, they're going to be one of the harder hit stocks when you're looking at comparisons year over year from 2021 to 2022. So once the growth fears start, once the tightening is in full effect and you get those first 2, 3, 4, 5 rate hikes, that's when you will see liquidity being stretched. That's when you're going to see, just AKA simple terms here, less money the hedge funds have. And that's when you're going to see the markets really selling off, because unfortunately, you don't see market crashes that are severe unless there is a systemic problem going on. Like 2018, 2019, that was because there was growth fears. Growth was starting to slow down. People were very fearful. You had the trade war stuff going on. But then at the heart of it, you had the Fed that started raising rates 2 years before that, way too soon when they shouldn't have. So, and if you guys are unfamiliar with the way that chart looks, I mean, it's looks like what could possibly happen in 2022. This whole time period, right? Beginning of 2018, this was January, boom. Recovered a little bit, boom. Recovered all throughout 2018. You get to the end of the year starting 2019, boom. Well, really the end in December 2018. This was a very rough year, 2018, to be in the markets. If you look at this standpoint of it, that's a whole year that was pretty tough. So when you get systemic problems, that's when the markets will come down. That's when the money will be restricted, and that's when you see the MOS. Because I know I say this all the time, and I know I sound like a broken record, but it's not about what AMC does. It's about what the markets do. This is not financial advice. Spend it, baby. Okay. Showing love. Man, I'm trying. I got the leprechaun outfit and everything. I'm going to go full on leprechaun and hope for the best. Man, nobody will like the video. Like 1,000 likes. I know y'all can do it, but you know, shout out Edward Morgan, because I'll just do it because. All the 1999s you've donated over the course of these nightly live streams. I got you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Vlog says puts on Putin. Yeah, this is actually the Putin put. This is probably when you're looking at like financial history, like the they have a name for everything. This is gonna be the Putin put. And then you got the Powell put. That was 2018, 2019. You're going to get the Powell put again, but this is the Putin put. How high can UVXY go? Oh, that's a tough question. I mean, it's all about fear. You already see a lot of fear. That's the issue right now, is the put to call ratio is about 80% puts compared to calls. So as far as how high the UVXY can go, you can't really look back at this because there's reverse splits, right? So the UVXY didn't go from 18 to 1350. But if you see a big market crash, like a March of 2020 event, let's take a look. You can get like a 10x, a 15x sometimes. And it's so weird how they have the ratio, but you can get like a clean 10x in price. Like the UVXY could go to 100-ish if you seen a huge 2020 crash. I don't think that would happen. I wouldn't bet on it going higher than like 35 or 40 in my opinion. But UVXY is expensive because it is the fear gauge. Kick it up with a leprechaun outfit. I got you. Oh, Big Blue, see it. Oh, man, y'all are showing love. Said lucky. Oh, yeah, we're going to get lucky. Big Blue, do you have, I know you must have some protection. Some of those Apple puts or spreads. I think everybody in the trading community does. I was talking about Apple being one of the leading leaders to the downside like a week ago, and we're finally seeing that actually happening, which happened pretty fast. Apple is getting clapped, and that's what's really helping to bring down the markets. We are at these key levels. Like I have this one right here. We closed under it. That was 160. We closed under it. If we go down to 154, oh man, we could probably go down to this, like 150, or even the 140. The 140. That's very possible. That's only October 2021 levels. And this is telling you that the safety trade, the cash reserve, is starting to go away. It's starting to hit the reserves right now. But thank you, Big Blue CNC. I appreciate you. All TV are breaking news. Oh my God, 2%? Oh my. They're not like bombing nothing, are they? What the hell? No. What the hell is going on? Woo! Okay. NASDAQ down 2.21%, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to get a little bit crazy. Holy shit. Putin is declaring war on the illegitimate government that has been installed in Ukraine by the capital. Those people will surrender. I'll no war. Trust me. They will not. I mean, they said earlier that they are not going to surrender. CNN team reports hearing loud explosions in Kyiv, Ukraine. Putin tells Ukrainian forces to lay down arms and go home. In an address early Thursday on national television, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced military action in Donbass, urging Ukrainian forces to lay down their arms and go home, according to state-run news agencies. Putin warned that all responsibility for any potential bloodshed will be on the consequence of the Ukrainian government, and said he was confident Russian service members would fulfill their duty. Oh my shit. That's not good. That's not good. I mean, we might make money off of that depending how you're positioned. Not good. Not good for peace around the world. Not good at all. I'm not happy with this at all. So don't get it twisted. This is not a good thing. Civilian flights in Ukraine restricted. Yeah. Ukraine actually just approved something that they can essentially the citizens can bear arms and conceal carry and basically own all kinds of military equipment to fight too. How can you see with those green goggles on? Hopefully you're seeing green tendies in our future. That's what I'm hoping. I mean, looking like some crispy little burnt tendies right now, but we'll see. I want to keep checking in on this to see if we do see any missile attacks or anything coming in. That'd be fucking crazy. But yeah, Nasdaq down about 2%. S&P 1.5, Dow 1.39. That's just ridiculous. I could log into the cable service, but I don't think it comes through on the live streams. I think they have it all like copyrighted. Oh man, that's crazy. All they said is that they're going to conduct a military. Yeah, they're gangsters. They don't even care. They are booming. Spy 400 tomorrow. Yes, Russia are bombing Ukraine. Yeah, not good. Not good. Margin call is coming with the declaration of war. Yeah, if you see, and that's obviously that's not gonna work, but if you see let's see if I can actually let's we stream it on YouTube, but let's see if we can pull up some live feed. Oh, you can hear it. All right. No. Yeah. Can you guys see this? They're just live streaming it, or?
It is 5:23 in the morning in Ukraine. The sun has not come up. We had been told by senior defense officials with the U.S. that likely this operation would begin under the cover of darkness. We'd also been told that they are expecting some difficult weather in the coming days and that likely Vladimir Putin would move in this particular time period, given the weather conditions on the ground. And
I'm gonna try to look at my portfolios tomorrow. Yeah, that's good. That's very advisable. Not a financial recommendation, but
we do know that Western journalists in Kyiv. This is a city. It's the second largest city in Ukraine. It's north of the Donbass region. That they are also hearing explosions there as well. And so we have Ian Panel in Kyiv, of course, the capital of Ukraine.
Jeez.
Hearing explosions.
Margin calls though.
If you look just off to the right, you can see the Donbass. Those two regions that were declared suddenly declared independent.
Yes and no.
Vladimir Putin.
Yes and no.
Couple of days, those are in that area right there.
Some of the smaller funds can actually I should probably
1,000 troops or so in the north, the east, and the south.
Let's see. Let me know if that's okay. But yeah, yes and no, because you will see some funds. I'm sure a decent amount of funds have some level of protection, but you will at the same time. Not all funds are going to act the same way. So it's like a yes and a no scenario. What we need to see, what we ultimately want to see, if you you know, margin calls around AMC. It's the market's falling and then AMC rallying. So overall, they have less money in their portfolios, and then they can't really service their margin calls as easy.
That's the city just to the north of the Donbass, where I said
Is this too loud? Let me know if this is okay.
At this hour, as I mentioned, the second largest city.
Revolution won't be televised, but it will be live streamed apparently.
Kyiv in an attack. And in fact, tonight these explosions would signal that, in fact, is the case.
Why are they? Oh yeah, why are they going to war?
Earlier, the U.S. authorities had urged
Russia just makes shit up. Honestly, that Ukraine bombs their people.
He made it very clear that he was staying put.
He just wants his name to
James Longman, our foreign correspondent,
look good in the history books.
Vladimir Putin, these last couple of days, his address to the Russian
Volume good? Let me know if the volume's good.
for moving in, declaring those two separatist regions independent, and James Vladimir Putin coming back.
Nasdaq down 1.88%, S&P 1.5%, Dow down about 1.5% too.
And he told Ukrainians to lay down.
Sanction them. They better get on that now.
I think the choreography of this was really rather extraordinary. The timing of this message, just as the United Nations.
Oh,
Just as the gavel went down after the Russians stopped speaking, we heard those explosions in Kyiv. They know how to send a message. This is about undermining international cooperation. That is what Vladimir Putin has sought to do for years. And he's done that because he wants to divide his enemies in order that he can carry out his objectives. And we heard in that statement he gave...
oh yeah, it is going to because the mic's on. Shit.
Loaded comment there. Very similar to the words he's been using around what he believes to be happening down in the eastern part of Ukraine. This word genocide, he's used it time and time again.
I'll just turn that off. You should be able to hear it decent enough.
This is a defensive war.
Echo play.
In the Donbass, and he's warned off.
I probably shouldn't even be streaming this. I'm probably not allowed to, but fuck it. I don't even care.
Ukraine. Obviously, these comments bear no relation to what is actually happening in that country, but this was a message squarely for his own people. We just heard President Zelensky in Ukraine appeal to the Russian people. Well, Putin has done the same to his own people now. And we just have to see just how far he wants to go into the country. He said he doesn't want to occupy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Territory. That was one of the quotes from the speech he gave. What he believes that to mean, we will wait and see, because of course he doesn't really believe that Ukraine should exist. He would deny that if you asked him, but from what he's been saying all week.
More puts on the spy tomorrow. Still getting an echo, vlog. Shouldn't have an echo, but it might be a little on the quiet side.
And if you just look at what's been going on in this country and the region,
Bitcoin hits 25K. I'm going all in. Probably not a bad idea, but be able to, if worst case scenario, you can hold it for 3 to 5 years. That's it. Don't expect it to go down and come right back up, but if you can hold it, you'll do very well for yourself. This will be very interesting. Look at oil too, up 3.43%. Everything's starting to cool down a little bit, but we're still way red. Brent up 3% too. They need to come out and sanction them right now. As soon as they declare war, do all that, they need to come out and sanction them right now. Was today the Moaz? Unfortunately not, Evergreens. Fortunately not. We love you though. We love you though.
Bombs, explosions off in the distance, both in Kyiv and in Kharkiv, which is north of the Donbass region. All of that playing out at this hour. We also are aware of this emergency meeting at the United Nations. You can hear the explosions there in the distance. The UN Security Council meeting at this hour, and the U.S. ambassador to the UN had already told
How close is that?
today that Vladimir Putin has asked the world to travel back in time by more than 100 years to an age of empires.
I don't know how to
And
spell
Martha
it.
Raddatz back with us tonight. And Martha, I am just struck that what authorities here in the U.S. had warned would happen, the sequence of events that they prepared the American people for, and much of the world for that matter, have begun to play out in exactly the sequence.
So this is what they were going to take initially. There's bombing over here in Kharkiv, and you can hear it all the way in Kyiv. So it's got to be close. Yeah, Nasdaq going back down, almost down 2% again. That's intense. Be careful though, buying premium tomorrow, just because bond yields dropping fast. Yeah, everybody's piling into bonds, huh? Yeah, 1.9%. When yields fall, people are buying them. People want that safety. Yeah, look at that. 1.97% earlier, down to 1.9%. That is a big drop. That is a really big drop. For just
the potential for this full-scale invasion and what that might look like, and whether or not it would expand beyond the Donbass, and just the fact that our reporter in Kyiv, Ian Panel, is hearing explosions.
Yeah, that's got to be close.
Kyiv are also reporting explosions, in addition to those troops that have already amassed along the Donbass. So talk us through what you think could be playing out at this hour.
Yeah, David, as you mentioned, you and I have been talking about this build-up, this massive build-up.
Explosion reported in Kyiv as Putin says Russia's launching an attack on Ukraine.
Of an amphibious landing. We know that the Russians have over 400 Iskander surface-to-surface missiles arrayed around the country to cover 95% of this country.
U.S. President Joe Biden is closely monitoring the situation in Ukraine with his national security advisor.
Would be cruise missiles to take out things like surface-to-air missile systems, air defense systems that the Ukrainians would have. That would clear the path for waves of bombers and attack aircraft to continue to hit things like power plants, command and control, internet command centers. So the whole idea here in these first hours will be to create confusion, to separate the government from its people, to separate the government from their military, and to create the confusion that they hope will allow them.
I hope Ukraine fucks them up.
That's what's anticipated. Where that comes,
I hope they fucking...
And it will probably take us hours to see what happens and what Mr. Putin's true goal is in a ground invasion.
Oh, you hear that? Oh, man. Man, I hope Ukraine just does some crazy shit.
We're just learning that there's a statement coming in from the White House. Let's go back to Cecilia for that. Cecilia?
David, the president is saying that, of course, he is praying for the people of Ukraine tonight, but perhaps he is really pointing this directly at Vladimir Putin. President Putin, quote, has chosen a premeditated war that will bring a catastrophic loss.
2% on the Nasdaq.
Russia alone is responsible for the
Bonds, yeah, they are falling even more. Look at that. Almost down a 0.1%. That is a big move in bond yields. That's a big move.
David, he will be meeting with G7 allies in the morning. He says that he will be
Killer hat. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Glad you are here. If AMC shows a positive cash flow, can't they issue a tiny dividend that would trigger a share count?
We expect to hear from the White House.
Yeah, they really need like a pure profit to the bottom line. Yeah, 2.10%.
U.S. authorities in the West will likely call an invasion, and a full-scale invasion was what they had been warning of all day, saying it was imminent given the intelligence on the ground. Vladimir Putin announcing that this military operation, claiming it's intended to protect civilians. But
dude,
before we go
fuck
off the air for now, I did
Russia
check
up,
with Ian
Ukraine.
Panel, our chief foreign
It does look like the beginning of World War III, because you know what the scariest part about all of this is, they're saying shit that's not true. Russia has been saying that the Ukraine has been bombing them. If you've watched any video or anything about the border, the troops, what's going on, Ukraine has orders not to attack those separatist regions, not to fire at them at all. They've been getting hit with bombs every single day, like 100 or 200 a day, and they haven't returned fire because the fuck you gonna do if Russia's down your neck as soon as you do? But Russia says they do, so they just do it anyways. Now, what happens then when we are on the borders, NATO, Poland or something, and they make up some shit for Poland? That's World War III. China still wants Taiwan too. Yeah, that's another scary thing. But yeah, it does seem like that. You will have your chance and you get drafted.
We can hear the sirens going going off behind you are thanks to you, Ian. Again, Vladimir Putin declaring a special military operation. But the West
Woo,
is
that's not good.
of Ukraine.
China will
Putin warning
step
other
in and
countries
take
that any
Taiwan.
attempt to interfere with this Russian
I
action
mean,
would lead to, quote, consequences they have never seen. The White House, as you heard from
I don't know. Good question.
tonight with prayers for the Ukrainian people and warning that there will be
I don't think
consequences
China's as
for
stupid
Vladimir
as
Putin
Russia,
having
though.
taken this action tonight. We're going to continue to monitor these developments. We'll be back on the air.
Sanctions hurt us more. Gas price will rise, then food. All branded plan.
ABCNews.com. Again, Nightline later.
No. Like, they make gas go up, but they don't hurt us more than them. Sanctions have crippled their already tiny economy. They have a very small economy. They are not an industrial country. They virtually don't have an economy. Like, the whole Russian economy is less than one province of China. It's very, very small. Brazil has a larger economy than Russia. So, over the years, they have really, really hurt Russia, right? The worst that really happens to us is little bit higher gas prices. Over there, to them, with like even their kids, which, if you guys aren't familiar, we've sanctioned Russian leaders, before, people involved, right? But we've never sanctioned their families, their kids. So what they'll do is, just like any other rich person would do in any other country, if you got sanctioned, put your assets in your kids' names so then you could still do business. Now you can't. So it's like, imagine if Elon, Bezos, Warren Buffett, your fucking quadbillionaires, your rich people, all got sanctioned and could no longer spend money, buy a house, do anything, because nobody wants Russian rubles. They all want fucking dollars, right? So imagine if your wealth is just taken away because your dictator is doing some weird shit, right? You're not going to be that happy. You're going to start seeing a lot of people not very happy. What they've been trying to do is focus them on the rich people, but what they're going to have to do is focus them, as bad as it sounds, on regular people as well. What they're trying to do is to make people mad at Putin for doing this. Like, imagine if Russia or China shut down your bank account. Would you be mad? Imagine if you had money in the American stock market. You had the money in a fucking S&P 500 index fund, because the American stock market makes you money and the Russian stock market lose you 40% in 2 weeks, right? Your money's gone. And that's the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more going on. Little too late, but no, the Russian economy is they virtually don't have an economy. Like, Apple is 2.5 times larger than Russia's whole entire country. Imagine that. 2.5 times larger. So, I mean, they just, but they don't care. So I don't think China's that's dumb, right? Because that would be dumb. I mean, attacking another country is dumb unless you're going for like full on domination of the world. Like, you can't make it financially make sense by ruining your country economically, and I mean, screwing a lot of people, by taking a Ukraine that's another very poor country. Just what, for your history book to say you did this? I don't even think that looks that good. Right? Why stop at Ukraine if you're going for the history book? That's the scary part too. Russia 12% world's oil. The fuck. Yeah, we actually export and drill more oil than Russia. So I mean, they're not even the leader in that aspect either. Economic collapse hype. I mean, not for us. Russia's already, their economy is already shot, but that's not going to help it. Russia believes they can be feared because of their nuclear supply and get away with doing what they want. If we stand up to them, they will. Exactly. That's the thing. And that's why, me personally, like, I don't even care about politics. Usually it's you know, crony capitalism, capitalist over here. Whoever's going to help me make money, we're cool, as long as you don't do no rational shit and put us into another World War III. And for a while, I thought Trump was not that guy, but, you know, hindsight's 2020. Now it's young Biden that's going to put us into World War III. So, you know, there's a certain aspect of, like, China, Putin, they have to know you are for real. Even if you have no plans on attacking Russia or China, they have to know that you will. Putin knows that we will not attack them first. So what's really stopping them? Who cares? They don't give a fuck about their economy. They don't have one. They don't have an economy. You know, that's the scary part. But yes, their nuclear supply, I believe last count they had like 1,000 more than us. Enough to, I mean, we could blow the world up a couple times over, honestly, but what do you think about the 135 sentiment along with earnings? Oh, T35 sentiment along with earnings, in your opinion? I think earnings will be good. We've seen the markets come down in a quite substantial way. I mean, by March 1st, I mean, we could be probably as low as 400 on the SPY, and that'll help drain liquidity if you do see a big reaction off earnings, depending what kind of state the hedge funds are in. That's going to be important, because let me point out, every single time that I have said on the stream or in a video that Apple, they're short interest. Look at what has happened to Apple, right? Just for an example, this is the biggest holding by institutional investors. Look back here. I believe it was in this range when I was showing you guys, like the 172 to 175 range, where I was showing you guys hedge funds, they're not protecting their portfolios, right? Their largest assets, which they should be hedging, they are not hedging. And the short interest was 0.5%. Let's take a look at what it is today. Still the same number, and Apple is down to under 160. So they've lost $12, $13, $14 a share for on a millions of shares. That's a large amount that you start to lose pretty rapidly. So there is less liquidity out there to a certain extent. You know, they yeah, let's go ahead and see if that's back on. No, they're playing some shit. So, yeah, long story short, could be good.
Debate today at the General Assembly. You haven't been able to find one word of compassion or
But,
condolences.
I mean, I wouldn't bet on it. Like, I wouldn't bag on it, you know, being the day. You know, taking liquidity out of the system, out of hedge funds' pockets, takes a little bit of time. Said looking fly. Appreciate you. We will see AMC $8.01 this week play. It's possible. I mean, if it's the only supply of uranium, I want to say that's not true, but I will Google it because I don't know. I want to say there is uranium. Yeah, it says over 2/3 of the world's production of uranium for mines is from Kazakhstan, Canada, and Australia. But like they are a big player in that though. And Kazakhstan, that's pretty much Russia. Kazakhstan, that's right on the border of Russia. Australia as well. Plutonium, or is it plutonium? Yeah, plutonium is I mean, we have enough, but plutonium was the big bomb in Nagasaki. Yeah, plutonium is the more powerful one, yeah. But it's interesting. It's interesting. You a West Coast pimp. I was hoping it would bring good luck, but as soon as I put it on, the markets fell 2.6% on the NASDAQ. So, I don't know. But keep in mind, guys, there is, I forget what it's called. I never even looked it up. I was talking about it on the live stream the other day. I'm not sure exactly what I called it. But, yeah, evergreens, hit the like button. But essentially, when you see war catalyst, you tend to see fear heading into the catalyst, and then you tend to see a buy the dip mentality after that. But there's a lot more going on underneath all of this, like the Fed, potential economic slowdown, recession, oil prices going up, and the possibility for World War III, that I don't think you're going to see that sharp move back to the upside. You know, TCI said we're mostly next week, but it calls out. I've never once said that we were gonna MOAS next week. You need to pay attention better, brother. I love you and all, but you just gotta pay attention. Don't be like the people that come in the comment section and say that, because I get that comment a lot, which I have never once said that we are going to squeeze next week or put a specific day on it. I'll say, like, hey, like I said, hey, look, I'll lay out my case. I'll say, look, we've seen the markets coming down. They're not quite as low as I would expect to see during the MOAS. But if we do see a huge reaction upon earnings and markets continue to fall heading into earnings, we could see the first leg of the MOAS. That's what I said in another video. I never said next week. I don't know where anybody gets any of that shit from. But, yeah, oh my God. Dow is down 2%. 700 points. Oh, this is turning into a meltdown. Yeah, you might see some general margin calls. That's tough. I just want to kill corruption, no death and war. Your green scarf is... Man, I'm trying out here. I should have picked a better day, I guess, to wear it. But, you know, I still love you, man. I still love you. You still show up. I mean, at least you comment, right? At least you're here. You comment on the videos. Even if it's not the most positive things. You know. Crypto taking a poo-poo, is that a... Yeah, crypto is taking a dookie. Look at that. BNB down 8.24%. XRP down 9.65%. Cardano down 10%. Jesus Christ. What the hell? 81 cents. I know if we go down to 10 cents again, I'm loading the boat. Oh my God. That's bloody. You're definitely seeing shit hitting the fan. You're definitely seeing some margin calls going on right now.
Russian invasion of... He believes that this is a country which is within the former USSR and the former...
Wait, what is
Russian
that?
Empire. So
Kaliningrad?
it's very, very scary, honestly, the language that he was using, and we'll just have to wait
The
and
fuck?
see what exactly happens next. Andrew?
And what about the relationship between these two nations? Can you describe to us how everyday Russians view their Ukrainian neighbors? And do you think Russians expected this to happen? Describe for us how this has been reported in Russia, if you will.
Well, I don't think Russians did expect this to happen, to be honest. I mean, obviously, it depends who you ask, but there's been a sort of level of sort of suspended disbelief about the possibility of invasion. There have been moments where people have been scared or shocked by a development. I think Vladimir Putin's original speech, when he addressed the nation, saying, it sounded like a president who was preparing his nation for war. I think the law that passed.
Let's cross there now.
In 2014 to allow the annexation of Crimea, that got people thinking here, I think, and of course that televised Security Council meeting, that has never happened before.
UN is speaking, Ukraine is speaking at the UN in New York City.
I think people just, a lot of them didn't think this was going to happen. People regard Ukrainians
What
as their
average
brothers.
down when you
And
can
how
just
much
dive in
history
hand and
shared
bleed for
culture.
years?
Vladimir Putin said that. Of course, he
Interesting.
uses those
Interesting
that
take
didn't
on that.
exist. Regular
Let me ask you, what do you own, Evergreens? Like, what is your largest stock? Largest position in a stock? Think Canada flew in UN police to Canada to beat the shit out of some peaceful protesters. Jeez, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. They're getting a little crazy in Canada. Too much maple syrup. Dropping President another opportunity to jump in, hoping it stays low enough after the must so I can have money and like rich folks do. Exactly. What if Putin is holding AMC and doing this for... That would be funny. I mean, that would be a funny, funnier thing around all this. Look at how many people are watching all this. 16,000, 77,000 on this one.
Russia. I mean, these are messages that they've heard repeatedly, and not just
Jesus Christ. Crow is down. Jeez, 10.28% too. It's hard out here for a pimp, but don't short the like button. I hope you got your shorts ready, but don't short the like button right here, right now. We're dropping golden nuggets like a vlog always says. Baby, we are in there like swimwear. Just 1 second.
It'll be shock that this has actually happened.
James, thank you. And let's bring in former U.S. Ambassador to Ukraine, Bill Taylor. Thank you again for joining us. A senior Pentagon official says that this is the start of a Russian invasion of Ukraine.
That's not good.
Is there any way to back away from the brink here, or are we at the point of no return?
Stock Twits is down.
Past the point of no return. I think the attacks that
Oh, I bet people are going crazy. They're like, my fucking puts. Oh, man. I can get on. Can I get on Stock Twits?
Of Ukraine, south of the occupied territories of Donbass. So we're past the point.
Yeah, it looks like mine is working. Yeah, we are fucked.
Putin has no justification for this. There is no indication whatsoever that he was able to find a justification. He was looking for one.
That's the issue too, is they're gonna make some kind of... Yeah, 800 points. It's nuts. It's nuts. The markets are collapsing. You are seeing margin calls right now. Who knows what that'll lead to? But you're shaking some people out right now. Dude, everything is... The Dow and the S&P are both down the same amount. 2.3%. That's nuts. The Dow down 2.3%. What the what? What is that?
Making it clear to the Ukrainian government that we're strongly supporting them. We support their sovereignty. We support their right to fight back. We have been providing weapons and ammunition.
Blood everywhere. Just join here. Prayers to Ukrainians. Yeah, that's what I said on Twitter too. Is prayers to Ukraine in our portfolios. I mean, I hope they whoop the shit out of as many Russians as possible. It will lead to millionaires. That's 100% correct. That's 100% correct. More millionaires were created during the Great Depression than any other time in history. So, play your cards right, have a long-term outlook, and you are good. Yeah, the Dow. Dude, that's nuts. That's a big-ass drop. You'd think a lot of this was already priced in as well. I expected a big move down, but you would think that it was priced in. No.
So far, no indication at all of U.S. troops The Ukrainians have not asked for U.S. troops, and President Biden has been very clear that he doesn't have the intent.
That's scary.
U.S. troops into
That's
Ukraine.
scary.
Now,
I'm not even gonna lie to you guys.
what President Biden has done is move US
Like it's
forces
good that we are ready for this and we've seen this coming financially, but this is not good for the world.
of Europe to Eastern
That's the
European
issue.
allies because they are now threatened.
But yeah, bond yields dropped a lot.
Romania is now
A
threatened.
lot of demand for bonds. Oil still up 3.22%.
Those are now threatened by
Brent
this
up
invasion
about 3%. Natural gas 3%.
in the direction of NATO.
They need to sanction them like right now. I know they have the shit ready.
The Ukrainian leadership is clearly capable of mounting.
Yeah, I need a drink too.
They have to defend themselves. They will also be
Smash the
taking
like. Eric Cuddle in the building.
maintain control of the country. The Russians probably are going to try to depose this government. Who knows what they're
292 puts us buying close today. That'll be interesting. It's looking like we'll be around 414. 414 when we open today or tomorrow. Unless we sell off more, but
very clearly, very strong, very resolute.
it's where you can't price in any facts because nothing is predictable. Yeah, that's true.
His nation to fight and resist the Russians
And
as they come across.
how far will AMC go then if this is happening? Well, this isn't like a short squeeze triggered event. It's draining liquidity and not in a huge way. Like 2008 when Volkswagen happened, that was nothing to do with Volkswagen share price. It was because it was the bottom of the markets and a couple other factors granted as well, but by and large, shorts were forced to cover a lot faster then because they had less money. So it's like when your portfolio, imagine your portfolio drops 50%, you're short on a stock, and it starts going against you. That's the last thing you want to happen, and that's what can happen when you have short positions on a stock when it starts to rally. So you need some AMC specific catalyst or a Bed Bath & Beyond, GameStop catalyst, something that jacks up the price of AMC. That's where you start to see the small shorts with less money, not able to service their margin calls, buy the stock, push it up, and it's the domino effect that I've talked about a lot. So it's not like specifically related to any one event like this. Share, check, like, check, subscribe, check. Let's go. We're going to call for the demilitarization of Ukraine after announcing military action in Donbass. Yeah, and then that's just, I think that's a no-go for Ukraine. Protect all the Ukraine baddies and thotties. Yeah, they are actually ranked number one most beautiful females in the world. Interesting fun fact. So I mean, you are correct. You're not always correct, but you see, that was a correct statement. I wouldn't be surprised if the markets dip hard. Yeah. Anytime, Brandon. You know, I think if people know like the facts here, I know a lot of people say a lot of shit. Like when the markets crash, MOAS is gonna happen. That's setting people up for those false expectations. And not just you, because, I see it everywhere. Team Russia. Are you Russian or are you in Russia? Because that's not... Okay, we gotta time that out. We are not Team Russia here. You can be all you want, but I don't want to... I don't want to clap you, so I'm just going to put you in timeout. Because you're going to make me go on an epic rant, and we're not having that. Yeah, I mean, that's no. People are going to die here. And check back in 12 months when people get drafted. They don't stop with Ukraine. That's like Germany in 1938. They started by taking their German-speaking countries, and then they worked their way to Poland, France, tried to take the UK, but y'all UK motherfuckers are tough. The UK is tough as hell. So are we, but the UK is some tough bastards, man. Do you think Russia might use tactical nukes on Ukraine? I feel like they could get away with limited use of them. No. I mean, I don't think we would nuke Russia over it. Like, they could get away with it, but I think they would be isolated from the, like, literally isolated from the world. And that would definitely cause, that would be World War III. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's hard to even say, but we would definitely not go for that. I don't think the world would go. I don't even think China would go for that. As fucked up as China is, I don't think they would even go for that. You know, nobody wants that. China has nukes, France has nukes, UK has nukes, we have nukes. I believe Canada has a few nukes. You know, North Korea would be the one like, yeah, get them motherfuckers. But other than that, I don't think the world would like that. Because you're talking the end of the world at that point. That's the mutual destruction pact. So it's like, nah, that wouldn't be good. There's a lot of variables there. They probably could get away with it, but that would just not be good. Ukraine does they do have a pretty large military. It's not like Georgia where Russia kind of just walked in, you know. It's if they want to fight, if they have the will to fight and get bloody, then it will.
Surface-to-air missile systems, air defense systems. You would send in cruise missiles and surface-to-surface missiles in all those places where they had missiles that could take down your airplanes. Once the skies are clear, then they'll launch more surface-to-surface missiles that are very accurate, could go after critical infrastructure, power plants, things like that, equipment areas, military command and control.
Yeah, one nuke flies, many nukes fly. Yeah, that's... That would be a man. I don't even want to think about that. That'd be terrible. Yep, invasion started. Yep. Not with the big missiles, not with the Tomahawk, you know, ballistic missiles, but we're waiting. If that happens, there's Kyiv. I think that's how you say it. You would
time. So we're going to keep bringing it to you real time here, folks. All the stuff going on here.
This has a yeah, this is real time and it has audio connected to it. So if something happens, we will see it, but you can hear the explosions when they come. I want to see what they have to say here, though.
Much improved. The U.S. and NATO countries have been working with them to improve their military since they were whipped in 2014 by the Russians in the Crimea and in the Donbass. So they've gotten better. The problem is the Russian military has also gotten much better. Over the last 15 years or so, Mr. Putin has put a lot of money into improving the Russian military in a way that makes them a very, very capable military.
There'll never ever be another nuke launch and war intent to attack. It will ever hit its target or even land. It might not even launch, but it will never happen. Truth, aliens won't let it. I believe that. It's just YouTube, ABC News.
Russian military, Russian Air Force has really is going to be no match. So.
And this guy, I don't know him, but Investor Lee Wheelbarger, he streams all this shit like all day with the cameras. So if shit comes flying in, you'll see it here, if not somewhere else. But
if he's going to even hold this much of Ukraine, he's going to need double or triple that, and he can't afford that. He goes into an election in 2 years from now, and can't have body bags coming home from some bloody occupation like he saw in Chechnya. So it's probably going to be a get in, get out. I think we heard that tonight where he says he doesn't want to hold terrain, wants to teach the government a lesson. What that lesson is yet to be seen.
For the Ukrainians' defense,
He doesn't want to get in and get out. That's not Russia.
Because really what they're going to have to do
That's not what they do. That don't look good in your history book, in a history book 10 years, 30 years from now.
It's actually quite difficult because you have people who believe in the defense of their country, that they've been invaded by a country. They're very proud that the national spirit of Ukraine has grown since the independence in 1991 from Russia. So you have Russians invading and killing Ukrainians, and so what they're going to have to do after they eventually get overrun is to sort of go into the militias and fight a guerrilla war. And that ends up being very, very bloody, not only for the Ukrainians, but eventually for the Russians.
And Colonel, last question here. American troops are overseas right now. What kind of support could they provide Ukraine, and how will they engage?
Zero. It'll be the President Biden has made it very clear that this is not our fight. So Ukraine is not a member of NATO. It's never going to be a member of NATO. Someday maybe it'll be a member of the EU, but it is not our fight. It's not NATO's fight, but it is still very, very concerning. If you think about it, Andrew, this part of the world has a really bad track record for small world wars turning into brush fires and world wars. So it's one of these things that needs to be watched because there's a lot of historical overhang here that's quite scary.
Colonel Gander, thank you.
Yeah, Nasdaq down 2.5%. Dow and S&P both down about 2.15%. Yeah, Dow down 700 points. That is ridiculous. What the hell? A new would molest the fear index back to 1,300 instead of $19 a share. Pretty much. SPY is most definitely hitting under 400. Yeah, very, very possible. Very, very possible. I totally believe it, as crazy as it sounds. I mean, considering everything we've seen, it doesn't sound all too unrealistic. You know. That's like though, if you launch a nuke at a country like Russia compared to Ukraine, like they're not an equal fight at all, right? Like Russia would be like the sumo wrestler, big motherfucker trying to, beat up a 10-year-old boy. If you nuke or, just knock him out, start kicking him, and then you body slam him, that don't look that good. That's the analogy to compare it to just nuking a country when you don't have to. That's unnecessary. And I mean, with the size of nukes today, Hiroshima and Nagasaki killed 80,000 and 120,000 people, I believe, just from the initial blast. That's it, the initial blast. And I believe another 50, 100,000 people died after from radiation. And our nukes now are 10,000 times stronger, each one. So, you're talking about blowing up probably half of Ukraine with one of those nukes. So, or a good chunk of it. Not good. Yeah. Tyson versus Mayweather. Just want to know when USA will allow avocados from Mexico again. Yeah. Get your guac. I think they started letting them or started to inspect them again or something. I remember seeing a headline about that. But cartel controls Mexicano avocado. Yeah. Which, I think that's better than the drug trade, you know what I'm saying? Just control the avocados. That's fine. Don't send the drugs across the border though. Just send the avocados. I mean, they're expensive enough as is. Should have some good margins, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, Putin is cold-hearted, bro. Yeah, He is cold-hearted. She usually entails taking their land and resource, and if they use a nuke, it would destroy the land and the resource. I don't think Russia would do that. Yeah, that would... Yeah, I don't think... You know, I was... There's a lot I've thought about this before, but feasibly, the only way you would use a nuke is if somehow you knew you were going to lose a war and you didn't care about anything else but winning and surviving as a country, but you knew that you had knocked out the other country's nukes, right? Like if you had somebody secretly working in the next to the president when he could press the button or whatever, and you launched first and you knew you weren't going to get hit, then that'd be the only way a country would theoretically do that. But man, that's like, if you're biblical, that's like the Antichrist. That's like the end of time. That's the end of everything if that were to happen. You only use nukes when you're about to lose a war. Yeah, see, we would have won Japan either way, so we didn't have to, but it was too bloody. It was so bloody. And it just didn't make sense to... Plus, we didn't exactly know how nukes would... What really they would do, or... It seemed better to do it like that. And us in Japan was a very barbaric war, you know. They were doing just bad shit. We looked at them, you know, there was a bit of racism going on back and forth. So, you know, they would torture our people. They would fight very... Look at Pearl Harbor. They fought very dirty, so that's what we did too. We actually... firebombed Tokyo and burned down like half the city and killed 250,000 just in one incineration bombing, you know. Burned like the whole city down. Everything was made out of wood. Like, we didn't care about you know, Japan. It was a very racist section of the war. The whole war was racist, obviously, but you know, specifically U.S. Japan was... We were not very friendly to each other. Japan would have nuked us too in a second.
And claim the eastern third of the country, cut it off from the capital to prevent Ukrainian troops from falling back to defend it.
Let's go back to how this all started. It was a slow build up to a possible attack. Were the Ukrainian people prepared for this?
Oh, look at that. Nasdaq, 2.7%. I wonder if it's possible to get a circuit breaker tomorrow. If the markets could fall that much. That's 7% and they'll halt the entire markets for 15 minutes. But the only reason I say that is because we were down 5% on the NASDAQ this day. And that's that historical day. We were down so much. And then we rebounded all the way back to positive 0.5%. So that would be crazy. I've only seen the March of 2020. There was two back-to-back. We hit 7%. And then we hit 13%. Halted twice. And that was like the scare. That was... I mean, I wasn't too scared, but it was a very exciting, weird thing. I'm like, man, the markets just dropped 13%. We opened and the Dow was down 10%. We opened and instantly halted the second we opened. Like, what the fuck? That would be crazy. I don't know if it would do that, but this futures move is very bloody. Very, very bloody. Down 2% already. We weren't down that much that day. We hit 5% on the NASDAQ. 5 puts tomorrow on SPY. Less liquidity in the markets. Accounts with margin calls on margin accounts. Yeah, definitely. But there needs to be some kind of reason for shorts to cover. Like, yes, margin calls for sure. And then theoretically, right, if you get a margin call, you have short positions to put on that short position. Imagine, you know, you sells a million shares of AMC short, you have to put up collateral for that. So, you know, by closing it out, you have to purchase the shares back. You get your collateral back as well. So that could make sense, you know, as far as boosting the price of, you know, AMC by that way. But I think you really get a lot of that good price action when the stock starts to go up as the market's going down. Who knows? We could get a catalyst tomorrow. Or, you know, it could be earnings. I don't really see us sharply recovering because, like I said earlier, if you guys, a lot of you guys are still here from what I said earlier. But essentially how after wars the markets tend to bounce. That was the case besides the, was it the last one, I believe? The last was it Crimea? I think it was Crimea that the markets kind of just kept going down after that. That or the shock and awe in 2002, 2003. Today was a big move down. Wouldn't say it was slow. Yeah, no. Yeah, today was very interesting. I mean, that was a big move. I mean, look at the candle on it too. Kind of wicked looking. Look at it. It was just like a slow bleed down. You can tell from seeing this candle. Just yeah, and the SPY's 418.85. Yeah, that's not really what it's at. It's going to be like 413 when it opens if we were to open, down 2%. But, yeah, it was a slow bleed out the whole day. But not really slow at the same time. There was moments it picked up fast. Like, right there, right there, right there, there. You know, right there. Yeah, there was some times that... like, damn. Especially at the end of the day, this was huge. But we never got that last, really that big candle down. The wick. Put season tomorrow. Yeah, just be careful, you know. Because premiums, they are going to be high. It's really hard to tell, like Shane had said earlier, it's just really hard to tell when it comes to war, and markets are confused. They don't know what to price in. Nobody knows. So I wouldn't have too many, you know, huge expectations of what you're going to do at a certain time. I would probably let the markets figure out what they're going to do for a minute. But odds are you're either going to open up down much more than this, like 2.5%, 3.5%, or you're gonna open up 1.5% down. You know, I don't really think you're gonna, you know, open up at these prices. Like even last night, the futures were down. Or no, they were up. They were up like 1%, and then we opened and instantly just lost everything. So it's really hard to make a decision, but. The last thing I would do is instantly out the gate start buying stuff, because you could see a big recovery, or you could, I mean, it could go in your favor ultimately. It's literally a 50-50. The way the markets have been, it's very irrational. Bomb the airport. Wouldn't surprise me. Where are you seeing that on Twitter? That's not what I want. Oh shit.
Are these price hikes expected to last?
This is the question. We are seeing
Ukraine's ambassador there saying it is late. It is about 20 past 11 in New York, the home of the UN Security Council. The ambassador, the
for the U.S. with other countries around the world to stock up on oil reserves.
Yeah, where are you seeing that on
try to say we are prepared, we have enough ready to go to subvert some of the shocks that could be in place here in the market. At the same time, the U.S. isn't ruling out other options like releasing oil from its strategic petroleum reserve. This is something that it did earlier this year when we saw gas prices going up. How much effect that will have for the average person going to fill up the
unusual
tank,
whales.
not
Okay.
very clear at this point, and ultimately this is a global market, so when there are
they get news from the Bloomberg terminal. You know, I don't want to pay 24 grand a year to get it, but Ukraine to impose martial law? What? Ukraine minister advises citizens to hide in shelters.
Okay, so U.S. defense officials were expecting this invasion to come tonight under the cover of night. Why this timing?
Fucking subscriber only mode, yo. That's wild.
That's Dnepr under attack, folks. Dnepr under attack.
A surprise attack.
Yeah, everything's still. Oh, Brent crude touches $100 for the first time since 2014. Wow. Recession. That's a recession indicator over 100.
It's when it disrupts people's circadian rhythm.
Well.
It's disruptive to people's sleep cycles, the Ukrainian military people's sleep cycles, and so forth. So striking during the hours of darkness gives the advantage to the attacker. Why today?
All right, so we got a report of the Russian fighter jets have conducted airstrikes on the Ukrainian 25th and 93rd Brigade. I know the guys in the 93rd. Not good, folks. Not good.
For those tuning in, Putin declared war on Ukraine. Numerous cities attacked, including capital Kyiv. It's not huge, though. It's not a huge. Russian troops have also landed in Odessa. Ukrainian official says Russian troops are crossing the border towards Kyiv. Yeah, that is way out of where they're supposed to be. Kharkiv right there. There, we're only gonna take these two provinces. So now they want that one too.
The Ukrainians have a Russian, have an air defense system for the Russians.
That's wild, dude.
I think the weather had some. That means destroy or disarm their capability to defend themselves. And then on the denazification, I think that
by the day prior, Muslim money closed over the past couple months have been it's so sketch. How crazy Ukraine is like. It's like it's okay. Park your tank right here. I mean,
intends to replace them. What we should be asking is, if Putin and Russia is successful, how does this
attack
end? What does
Ukraine military command centers in Kyiv attacked by missile strikes.
Somebody who is sympathetic to Russia, who will be a puppet for Putin and the Russian regime. How will that play out? But I think he has signaled to Ukraine
What the
and signaled
fuck?
to the international community
Jesus
what his
Christ.
true intentions are here.
And let's go back to the
Ruble stocks trading halted on MOEX, the Moscow exchange. Yeah, what's going on to that right now? Oh, I bet it's getting clapped. Halted? Yeah. That's
Other NATO countries will be enormously helpful to the Ukrainian military. But as Steve pointed out earlier,
wow, what? It's up?
Ukrainian military is good.
Oh, yeah, it's probably been halted for a minute then.
But unfortunately,
because that would have tanked on that.
does matter, and numbers do matter when it comes to squaring these two countries up against each other, and Russia has a decisive advantage in a couple of areas. They have
Yo, Ling Ling.
missiles,
Ling Ling.
combat aircraft.
My daughter's name's Khaleesi, but I call her Ling Ling.
And that is
Ling Ling.
something that Ukraine just does
Ling
not
Ling.
have, and it puts them at a military disadvantage.
She's cute though.
So,
The worst part about war is it's never the people in the suits doing the fighting. Let Zelensky and Putin. Right. Let them box it out, man. Why do other people gotta die?
amount of firepower that Russia has aligned against the Ukrainian military right now is enormous. And I would expect us to see it completely unleashed here in the next 24 hours.
Some tough days ahead. General Abrams, thank you. Let's bring in former Homeland Security official and ABC News contributor Elizabeth Newman now. Today, Ukraine experienced some smaller scale cyber attacks, but Russia is capable of much larger cyber attacks. Talk about what those could look like.
Right, so today we initially saw some DDoS attacks, those are denial of service attacks, which think about not being able to access your bank or a government website where you need some information. It's disruptive, but it's not really of the size and scale that we expect. But then later this afternoon, we actually got word that
It's
some
nice.
malware had been
Oh no.
It's a data wipe malware, and it
God damn it, you ruined it, that.
computers in Ukraine. The
Oh,
damage
fuck.
that attack can cause could be significant.
Odessa,
depending on
is that? Am I
which
tripping?
Places were targeted, and what some of the cyber experts are
Oh, so they're just fucking going, they're just storming the whole fucking country? The fuck's going on? They're in Odessa, they're in Kharkiv.
launched
Man,
to distract from the other activities embedding this malware in networks. So
that makes me mad. I'm not even Ukraine. I don't even know anybody in Ukraine.
attacks kind of unfurl over the next few days, and with a particular focus on Ukraine. And the purpose of those is
Yeah,
to
under
try to
400
cause
tomorrow,
more
it's
disruption,
possible. Yeah,
and
if you see a full-on fear, mass panic situation.
communicate with the public, as well as to exercise command and control of the military and organizing your response as a government. So I would
Yeah,
expect to
everything's
see
still
more of
just
those.
clapped.
And
Gold's
we
almost
also
up
see
2%.
attacks
That's a
on
big move on
infrastructure,
gold. Oil up
taking
about
out the energy
4%.
grid. They actually did this to Ukraine back in 2015, took out power for about 1 to 6 hours for about 230,000 people. And we know that Russia has pretty significant capabilities, so I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg at this point.
Bringing this full circle, there's serious
Jeez.
concern about the prospect of cyber attacks right
Here in the capital itself. It is disturbing. It's worrying. We don't know where this is taking place. Most importantly, we don't know how long it's going to take. And whether this is the first few stages, of what might be an invasion. Government spokesman, just reading this now.
Yes, please.
I just want to add this. Government spokesman said cruise and ballistic missile strikes are underway at control centers in the capital, Kyiv.
So that is some new information, Charlie, and I think my next question, given what you just laid out and how residents there did not appear to be concerned, how is it that officials are going to be then communicating directives to people to do now that this Russian military action is underway?
Well, this is it, Elaine. We don't know the scope or the scale of what's going on and how long it's going to continue. And most importantly, whether people's lives are at risk. One thing we were expecting is that
man.
cyber attack communications would go down.
That's not
electricity
good.
would go down. We haven't seen that. So, in a manner of speaking, it suggests that there are targeted attacks. As we just read from a government spokesman, these are cruise missiles at command and control centers. Certainly, that
What's
was to be
doing
expected.
Russia?
Isn't necessarily
ETH, they
clear
just
this
invaded. I guess they've touched down in
itself, but you have to keep in mind that there are command and control
Odessa
centers within the capital
and
responsible
launching
for
strikes
the
on
Ukrainian
Kharkiv
military out in the east
and
other
Kyiv
parts
in
of
some
the country itself.
places.
It would be a target for the
So they're
Russian
just
military,
attacking. They declared war
to
on them.
take down and cripple those parts in order to defend their own forces if there was to be an invasion.
Minister of International Affairs of Ukraine reports that Russia is striking Kyiv with ballistic missiles. We don't see that on the cameras, but
Explosions that we've heard over the past 45 minutes or so doesn't necessarily suggest an invasion is underway.
It's more targeted and more precise than
the real concern, obviously, in a city of 3 million people, is the cost to human lives.
Absolutely. All right, Charlie Daggett in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv for us.
yeah, they've been
Charlie,
hit by ballistic
Please stay
missiles.
safe.
Yeah, there goes my portfolio too. I'm
Let's turn
fucking
now
clapped.
to Holly Williams. She is in Kharkiv, Ukraine, which is in the eastern part of the country. And Holly, I know you had reported on our CBS News special report earlier, also hearing activity.
Oh, that's fucking. Oh, we're live. What am I doing?
chooses to handle itself.
I want to get something live in action.
Aaron, tell us everything you've heard,
Oh,
everything you've
this is live.
also what Ukrainian
6:30 a.m. Kyiv. 6:30 a.m. Yeah, that's live
Hey
right there.
Tom, we've actually just heard yet another explosion in the distance, this time directly behind me. We're hearing explosions really on all sides of the location that I'm standing now, in intervals of seemingly 15 minutes. People here waking up to their windows shaking here in Kyiv. According to an advisor to the Minister of the Interior, cruise and ballistic missile attacks are underway, striking a number of locations, including airfields and military headquarters. No indication that civilian locations have been struck by missiles so far. Also, no sirens. We have not heard a single siren in the capital. City officials had told me that there is a siren system. They had tested it, though we have yet to hear that siren system. We're hearing from the Ukrainian foreign minister in a tweet say Putin has just launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Tom?
Oh, what the fuck? Power's out?
You ain't been here a week.
Look at that. What the fuck was that?
Channel our network.
What just happened there?
Coverage continues on MSNBC.
Hell no, Kharkiv isn't going to be okay. Putin wants to level Ukraine.
This should just shut off.
Airfields that have been hit, command and control centers that have been hit, but we're not seeing or hearing
Interesting.
damage in the center of this city at the very least.
Yeah, looks like power is lost. That's what somebody just said. I seen that too, bro.
That region that you are in right now. This is you are right on the border of a region that is controlled.
Sound is from the one at the bottom, in the center, and the top in the center. I have both of them.
Vladimir Putin and pro-Putin people say is not Russian, but is independent of Ukraine, not Ukrainian.
Jesus Christ.
That's fuel trucks.
Questions right now because
What did I tell you about that?
in the midst of trying to reinterpret.
All right, so sign up. You like it? Sign up.
From Russia's perspective, and I'll start with that because that is the one that Russia is trying to impose and reimpose right now. This area, that Ukraine is a mistake as far as Putin is concerned. That this land was part of the Soviet Union,
Butthead.
was part of Greater Russia before that, and that it deserves to be reunited with Russia, particularly the Russian-speaking people who've been denied their.
Man, this leprechaun shit is really bad luck, huh? What the
see
fuck?
This country as their homeland. They
So
have an
late
independent
there. It's
language.
still
They
dark
see
here.
that, yes, they
Yeah,
have
you guys do
history
have that.
under the Soviet Union, but they see that as a
Delay.
terrible history, a past that they want to break from. When Ukraine was under the Soviet Union, people here faced famine, an enforced, self-imposed famine by Stalin. And when people complained about the famine, Stalin blamed them for causing the famine and caused a repression that is described as the Holodomor here, in which several million, 3 to 5 million, most people said around 4 million victims died in that famine. Then there was the Chernobyl attack, and it wasn't until 1991 that Ukraine broke away and has been pursuing a path of democracy and pursuing a path away.
Everything's still just clapped. Oil's going up. Oil's kind of going crazy right now. Up 4.57%. Yeah, everything's up about 4.5%. Natural gas surprisingly only 3.83%. But what's gold doing? Up 1.66%. That's a decent move. Palladium 3.27%.
there's an information campaign.
Interesting.
Putin himself has come out and declared that the government must collapse, that Ukrainian soldiers must hand over their weapons and save their own lives. But what we've seen and what my colleagues are describing is fairly specific attacks on infrastructure that are not necessarily right in the city. Now, that could change in a moment, and maybe it's even changed since we've spoken. But at least that's what I'm seeing here.
Let me ask you this: for the people who you've spoken to, who are the Russian-speaking, Ukrainian-speaking, who don't want an invasion, who do they think is going to help them? I understand there's a Ukrainian military that is determined and enthusiastic, but they are absolutely no match for a Russian military.
USO prediction.
NATO forces or U.S. forces within hundreds of miles of
We're definitely gonna sanction their oil exports. So, which that should have already happened. I mean, they should have sanctioned them by now, but you know, tough to say. Oil, they're calling for 110 to 120 a barrel on order. Oil that would probably push USO 80, 85, I would imagine, maybe. Just depending. It's a weird ratio what happens with that, but it's gonna go up substantially. Oil's almost up 5% now.
Think, well, maybe a change of government is better. Maybe Putin is right, and that if he came in here, there would be more jobs, there would be cheap gas, and things would be back to their remembered past of the Soviet Union. Because some people here remember the Great Famine of the Soviet Union and remember Chernobyl and remember repression, and others remember at a time of
jeez. Look at how big Ukraine is too, compared to like even UK, other countries. It's big.
Starts because as you get any information, all you got to do, as you know, is wave in front of the camera. We'll put you in. I want to go right back to Kyiv, though. We have heard a large explosion.
Is this fucking Russia? What is that?
Aaron, what have you got?
Yet another large boom, another indication that this capital is under attack. Again, we heard from an advisor to the Minister of the Interior say that cruise and ballistic missiles are being fired at Kyiv, targeting military installations as well as airfields. Another boom just heard to my right. We're hearing reports that residents here in the capital are fleeing. In the distance, I can see a highway and lines of traffic essentially leaving the city. People here are waking up absolutely terrified. Worth keeping in mind that this is something that people here thought would be absolutely unthinkable. Even military experts, up until yesterday, were telling me they did not think that Russian President Vladimir Putin would go after the Ukrainian capital. They were well aware of the military presence. Some 30,000 Russian troops moved into neighboring Belarus, which is about,
Can I get a pair of sunglasses?
from here, the border. So they know
Yeah, we'll start the merch up. We'll start the merch up right about now.
this would actually happen. It is a stunning reality to stand here in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv in a flak
Russia's
jacket,
not
telling you
not invading Ukraine. There's why I made to push this because it was Brandon's narrative. Has bad poverty and child poverty. Yeah, they are. I believe they're the poorest country in Europe. Like by far, compared to like American dollars, they make like 3,000 a year on average. So it's pretty poor. Stunning. Trying to say it's legal to documents put in time. Yeah. Bullshit, huh? Not Ukrainians, but the press is also corrupt, bro. Yeah, they're all corrupt. I mean, Ukraine's one of the most corrupt countries in the world, too, but I mean, they shouldn't be doing this shit.
They have been making preparations. They have been taking this threat extraordinarily seriously, even though in recent weeks the Ukrainian government had been downplaying the threat, saying that a full-scale invasion simply would not happen. People here were taking those.
They'll probably take it to the river, if I were to imagine.
They were preparing for the worst. I was out in a suburb of Kyiv one long weekend watching as ordinary Ukrainians were learning things such as how to administer first aid, how to evacuate the wounded, how to fire a weapon. And speaking to people there, they said, we're preparing for the worst, but you know what, we really don't think that they're going to go after the capital, but you know, better be safe than sorry. That was the attitude then, and they're facing a completely different reality right now.
I hope Russia embarrasses the fuck out of themselves.
Kyiv does have that siren system. Kharkiv has that siren system. Matt Bradley said the same thing. He heard explosions, but no
It's
sirens.
like, come on. I've never liked a bully, and you're just being a bully at that point, making up bullshit.
Exploding in Kyiv?
We have yet to hear from city officials reacting to the events of this.
U.S. allies gear up to hammer Russia's economy after Putin launched an attack on Ukraine. You have to. You have to take everything away from
to
them.
get the city ready for a possible attack, dusting off bomb shelters, creating evacuation plans,
Yeah, they definitely lost some power down there. We watched that.
Critical infrastructure. They were trying to locate satellite phones. The city official
His title is Putin has gone mad. I like that.
phones for critical infrastructure sites. They didn't have those yet. They couldn't get them in Ukraine. They were actually appealing to the U.S. embassy for help with that, and they were waiting for those satellite phones. So those are sort of the basic preparations that were underway just as early as this week, even though they've known this threat was looming for some time. I had been told by a city official.
The Ukraine ambassador had the last word tonight of Security Council adjourned, directly addressing the Russian ambassador, saying there is no purgatory for war criminals. They go straight to hell. Jesus. Mariupol is being shelled. Minister of International Affairs of Ukraine reports the Russians. Yeah, okay.
was talking to us earlier about that what the Russians may do in the rest of Ukraine beyond the eastern side is attack those things that would
Future's not moving too much. They're still down about the same.
Installations and certain government
Yeah, not good, Pam. Not good at all. Can this war really cause the loss? Probably not directly. It could definitely cause margin calls for the hedge funds, but not really a reason to cover on your AMC position unless AMC goes up. Then you're losing on all sides. You start to lose on your short. You start to lose on your
sides of where I'm standing. I've heard an explosion in the distance to the back, to my left, to my right.
Fix that camera. Start to lose on all sides.
And we are waiting for even more clarity.
Win Lambo.
Your camera's staying on, your shot is staying up, so you let us know as soon as you have any
Russia
more
lacks
information,
any
we'll come
naval
right back.
threat,
Stay
but
safe there.
ports even. Yeah. They have 70. Russia has 76 warships, and Ukraine has 2. So it's like, it's not even fair. You get no respect for being a bully.
Updates from White House officials throughout the night, and my colleague Peter Alexander
And making shit up. I mean, they're just making shit up.
Right now, with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, obviously an important consultation at this late hour in Washington, but in the very early hours there in Kyiv to show support for our ally at this very critical moment. Just before we learned of that, the White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki tweeting that the president had just convened a secure phone call with his Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, the Defense Secretary, Lloyd Austin, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Mark Milley, as well as his National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan. Earlier, they also had said he would be monitoring developments closely throughout the night and getting updates as they continue from Jake Sullivan. Now, the last we heard from the president directly was in the form of a paper statement released about an hour ago, which began by saying that the thoughts and prayers of the entire world were with the people of Ukraine. And then we heard in that statement from the president much of what we've been hearing from this president throughout the last few weeks, laying this entire conflict, this entire crisis, squarely at the hands of President Putin, saying it is Putin who has chosen to make an unprovoked and unjustified attack, that this is Putin who is alone responsible for death and destruction that this attack will bring. And then Biden signaling how he will respond, saying that the United States and its allies and partners will respond in a decisive way. Now, what's next in terms of the president's schedule? We know tomorrow morning he is scheduled at 9 o'clock Eastern time to have a virtual meeting with the leaders, fellow leaders of the G7. Now, this was actually a meeting that had been on the president's schedule for some time. Germany is set to formally assume the presidency of the G7 tomorrow. But obviously, this gathering now squarely focused on the developments in Ukraine. And then a White House official sharing that after that meeting, sometime in the early afternoon tomorrow, the president will again come to the camera, speak directly to the American people about this latest situation and how the U.S. will move from that point forward. Ali, the story throughout the day has been whether the initial sanctions that President Biden announced just about 30 hours ago right now were strong enough to match what we know Putin was capable of. The indication from the White House in the president's statement tonight is that in his remarks tomorrow, the president will go further. And as he has said throughout, we will judge our next response based on how Putin proceeds. In the last 24 hours, really, at the White House, we've been hearing from White House officials this sense that yes, everything that they're predicting has come through so far, and they were predicting at that moment an imminent invasion of the kind that we now seem to be seeing unfold, that they were hoping that they were wrong. Clearly, they're not, but that they're now prepared to go even further in terms of the sanctions posture.
Worth noting that the G7 that you were talking about used to be the G8, because Russia used to be in it, and during the Trump administration, there were some efforts to get Russia back into the G8 by that administration. Mike, we'll keep in touch with you on this. I want to go to Ambassador Mike McFaul. Ambassador, I just want to point out to our viewers right now, for those watching markets, obviously they are tumbling around the world. Oil prices, Brent crude, which is not the crude oil that we use here in America, but that has topped $100 a barrel for the first time since 2014. Our crude, the U.S. light sweet crude, is on its way up there, around $97 a barrel. This is, of course, important because the one thing Russia has and the one cudgel that Russia has over its European neighbors is oil and gas.
This one? Is this what you guys are saying?
That's right. Just reading different comments from various Ukrainians, so I was listening to the oil and gas part.
has been
But you're right. Oil and gas prices rising. That's going to be good for Russia. That's what they said. They're not afraid of sanctions. We've had a lot of conversations about sanctions, and we should. I suspect we will
buy
see
Bitcoin.
comprehensive sanctions tomorrow morning. Once they're all coordinated between the
wrong
Biden
with people?
administration and the rest of our allies. But because of the fact that you just mentioned, we're not going to see the effects of sanctions on the Russian economy.
Ukraine confirms Russian troops are crossing the border into Kyiv. Yeah, if you guys did not hear it, President Biden says he is currently speaking with President Zelensky. Russia states it is only destroying Ukrainian military infrastructure. Just shut up at this point, Russia. Just shut up. Russian stock market down 11? No way, huh? Did they unhalt it?
Thank you.
Dude's lying. This shit's halted. They ain't playing. Zelensky, president of Ukraine. I spoke to Biden. They are preparing international support. Jesus Christ. What the? Russians are the best Counter-Strike players. It's not looking good. That's the game, right? Counter-Strike, the game.
So remember that before we get to that other part. When he says denazification and demilitarization, what I think is going to happen, and I think it's already happening, watching my Twitter feed and my various platforms I'm on right now, is that the Russians are attacking military installations. They have air superiority, so they're going to do that first before anything else happens. But denazification in Putin language, in his lingo, that means the collapse of the Kyiv government. I don't see there's any other way to understand that. Now, how he does it, how he thinks he's going to pull that off, I don't know what his plan is, but that is most certainly the objective that he has stated for this military operation.
It's 10 minutes to 7 a.m. in Kyiv, and what we're showing on the left side of the screen now is a highway, a major route in which people...
I don't know about y'all, but I am rooting for the underdog here, if you can't tell. I am rooting for Ukraine in this situation. Yeah, last night you were just getting into Milan Automotive. Yeah, I sent out that alert today. I bought how many shares did I buy? Like 300, 400, 500 shares, something like that.
Well, you're absolutely right. That's when he started using the phrase Nazis supported by NATO, right? The two N-words, as we called them back in 2014.
Is this going to bring the market down? The market's already down, brother. Nasdaq's down 2.7%. S&P down 2.21%. The Dow down 2.16%. That is the estimated open. Oil is up a lot, but it's, I mean, wait till the sanctions come and exactly what is said. That's when you're probably going to see the real oil move. This is really the expected move. The move expected because sanctions are coming.
He's appealing to Russians. He's trying to explain this to
Where are the explosions?
we've seen the
Is that sarcastic?
Majority support him. Majority support
Crazier things have happened. Vietnam beat the U.S.
becoming independent countries.
Yeah, that was just a very bloody situation too. That was something we could have fought and won, but we weren't willing to just lose so many people.
When Ivan Ivanovich calls you up on the phone from Moscow and says, hey, I'm doing polling here. What do you think of Putin? What do you think of this operation? You have no incentive to tell the truth. So
and wars like that, nobody wants to go die because of that,
I don't see any enthusiasm.
Other countries' problems.
Why are we attacking them? He tells us we're from the same nation, but we're attacking these Nazis. And the Nazi leader, allegedly, is this guy Zelensky. And I want to remind everybody, Zelensky's first language was Russian. We had a long conversation about it when he visited me here last August. He was a very popular television personality.
By 390 puts. Russia has to take Ukraine in a few days or a week. Most, if not, it stands a good chance of failing. Yeah, if Ukraine can grind them out and they really fight, which they probably will do because I mean they're not weak people. Size of the country, look at that city warfare. I mean you're gonna have to street to street if that's how bad it got. So it would take a minute.
Under the guise of protecting Germans in Poland, Hitler invaded, and that started World War II.
And if Ukraine's effective, I mean, they could do a lot more. A lot more damage than people give them credit for.
1939, that aggression happened on both sides. I just think.
Ambassador, I'm going to ask you to stop for a second. I want to go to Kyiv. Matt Bradley is there. He's hearing some shelling in the background. Matt, what's going on?
Hey, Ali, we are hearing some shelling right now in the background. It's actually behind the camera. We're trying to kind of figure out where it is.
I can hear it.
I'm not sure if you can hear it. It still sounds pretty distant, but it's ongoing. Again, though, Ali, this city, you just don't get the same impression as my colleague Eric McLaughlin was saying. You don't get the same impression.
Kyiv, Ukraine. So he's in the area that's actually seeing troops heading into.
But we are still hearing the distant sound of shelling. This place is a little different. This is eastern Ukraine. People here are a little more ready for war. They're expecting this to happen. And they are Russian speakers. They may have the belief that Vladimir Putin's military won't come in here and attack civilians because they believe that Vladimir Putin believes that this is Russia, that this population here will go with Moscow. So a lot of people here, if people in Kyiv didn't believe that the Russians would ever attack Kyiv, a lot of people here have been living with that reality and that expectation for quite a long time, and they've thought that this wasn't going to be targeted at civilians because Putin sees them as Russians.
What's going on in the streets behind you? There's not as much traffic as I might have assumed for this hour of the morning, but what's happening there? Is the city waking up and operating as normal?
The city is waking up, and as far as I can tell, the city is waking up and operating as normal. I don't see columns of cars leaving. I don't see traffic. I am seeing off to my left here, you can't see it, just a regular bus, a city bus that's operating slowly, lumbering along in the morning. I guess bringing commuters to work. Things seem to be sort of moving as normal, but it's hard to know how this is going to happen. We're waiting for more information.
Yeah, it does look like things are kind of going as normal.
Because we are right over the border from Belgorod, and this is a place where we've already started to see a lot of hardware mustering and a lot of troops mustering. Some of the big items like Sukhoi jets, attack helicopters, battle tanks, and self-propelled howitzers. These things, we're expecting them to come over the border. We did hear one report that we're starting to hear troops coming over the border. Mostly we're hearing that in the far south, in Odessa and Mariupol. But we still need more information. There's a lot of uncertainty, and we're just waiting for more information from the government at this point.
All right, Matt, stand by, and of course, if you hear anything...
Trading suspended on the Moscow exchange. Russia says it is using high-precision weapons and not targeting civilians in Ukraine strikes.
...decision to begin this incursion. Kier?
Huh.
That's right, Ali. Well, we've just been speaking to a former Russian official with very close ties to the Kremlin. Now, before I tell you what he told us, I just want to say that I think we need to borrow a phrase from previous terrible European wars, the fog of war. There will be many elements to this that we will hear in the hours ahead that will turn out not to be true. Others
it's sitting about the same for futures, down about 2%. Across the S&P and Dow, Nasdaq down about 2.5%.
This former official who's close to the Kremlin is that President Putin made the final decision at 3 a.m. Here in Moscow. It's now just coming up towards 8 a.m. In the morning. President Putin's televised address happened at 5:45 a.m. I'm told that prior or around the decision being made, that President Putin made a number of phone calls to members of his Security Council. So whether that is the case, we will find out, I suspect, in the hours and days ahead. That statement from President Putin, that televised address, it's not clear whether it was live or whether it was recorded. Very likely it was recorded, but then that raises the question, of course, how much earlier was it recorded prior to it being broadcast? Right now, here in Moscow and across Russia on state television, on the main television channels, they are replaying that statement from President Putin, that chilling statement. A couple of things, and I pointed this out earlier, and from that statement I think it worth marking, aside from frankly some of it, which is just a kind of televised tirade again, where President Putin once again talks about NATO, as you have mentioned, talks about the denazification of Ukraine, a claim for justification for this action.
And we have a lot of data that comes out in the morning too. That's the crazy part. On top of all of this, right, the futures absolutely destroyed, and this invasion, which looked likely to happen tonight. I actually posted on Twitter that it was likely or possibly going to happen tonight. That's what our reports were getting. But we could see that at 8:30 in the morning, we have GDP growth rate quarter over quarter, GDP price index, initial jobless claims, continuing jobless claims, GDP sales quarter over quarter, real consumer spending quarter over quarter, and PCE prices quarter over quarter. PCE is what the Fed really pays attention to. It's one of the things, and that's a measure of the price that people living in the United States or those buying on their behalf pay for goods and services. It's known for capturing inflation or deflation across a wide range of consumer expenses and reflecting changes in consumer behavior. So a lot of data that is coming out in the morning as well, and that's going to be very important. If that data is bad, you're going to see, oh yeah, look at that. 87% of investors only expect a 0.25% rate hike after that, which is surprising. Oil goes up, this expectation goes up. But yeah, if that number comes in really high, you could see the markets start to price in a little bit of a more hawkish Fed, but lots of data in the morning.
Russia's nuclear capability and clearly openly threatens Western leaders. So he says even after the collapse of the USSR, the loss of a significant part of its nuclear potential.
Probably won't even look at my portfolio tomorrow. That's probably a good idea. Hope AMD drops below 100. Yeah.
Frankly, in this regard, no one should have any doubt that a direct attack on Russia will lead to defeat and dire.
That would be nice. I started buying AMD in the 70s, and I think my average price on it now is like 89. So I'm still up a little bit on it, but not too much anymore. I first bought shares at 40 or in the $40 to $50 range, but hindsight's 2020, and I didn't buy enough.
In the east, it is 8 a.m. in eastern Ukraine, or 7 a.m. in eastern Ukraine, 8 a.m. in Moscow, and we have attacks underway in Ukraine. We have heard the explosion of shells in the capital city of Kyiv, constant explosions of shells. This is video being brought to us from the Associated Press. This is a highway out of Kyiv. Look at the cars on the right side going into Kyiv, very few of them. Look at all those cars that are leaving Kyiv right now. Our reporter on the ground there, Erin McLaughlin, has heard shelling. She was on air with us when she heard that shelling. This is unusual because it seems like a second phase in something that just began a few hours ago. As you heard Keir say, we have not seen the rolling over of tanks or artillery over the eastern border of Russia into Ukraine, but there are two regions.
U.S. journalists have been killed in the recent bombing.
And tonight he ordered a special military operation to protect those places. He says
the camera is shaking.
Requests from the leaders of those two republics that nobody else in the world recognizes as independent for Russian military.
What the fuck is that?
Involvement, and that's why they have sent the activity that they've got going on underway. We have a few things going on that we should tell you about. Airspace has been closed. All civilian airspace in Ukraine is now closed. We have heard some reporting that the bombs that we're hearing drop in and around Kyiv, maybe missiles. Someone
hit the like button. We need 3 more likes for 100 people. Yeah, if you guys hear me right now, definitely hit the like button. Don't short the like button. Futures now on fire. That is true.
Explosions with their own ears. There are reports, Courtney Kube had suggested that the U.S. intelligence had heard that we would start with Russian shelling, perhaps, of military installations and or runways, airports. Ambassador Mike McFaul suggested moments ago that he had been hearing from people in Ukraine that it may be the airports or the area around the airport in Kyiv that is being shelled. I want to go to our 2 reporters in the region. Richard Engel is in Mariupol, Ukraine, southeastern Ukraine. Erin McLaughlin is in Kyiv. Erin, last
why people sleeping is ways you can be setting yourself up to make money in the market. I mean, you can't do too much right now. I don't trade futures, but we've been set up for this. Stats in Ukraine, Russia intel. Yeah, pretty much. Oh yeah, wheat. It's like the cereal bowl they were saying of the world because of all the wheat. God bless us all. Yes, 100%. God bless us all. it's gonna be a nasty couple of years, honestly. There's Russia, China.
In many Ukrainian cities, noting that people can hear explosions. He also announced that he is imposing martial law to the whole state. He says, quote, "Today we need each and every one of you to stay calm and stay at home if you can. We are working, the army is working, all sectors of defense and security of Ukraine is working," continuing with a common theme, trying to keep people calm, trying to keep people from panicking in what is, and there we go. Ali, I just heard the first siren has just gone off. And I've been told by city officials that that indicates that this is a city under attack. That again is the first time we have heard sirens in the capital, Kyiv.
I just want to hold on there for a second because you've been hearing explosions now for a couple of hours, and we were asking about these sirens. You said they've been tested. Let's just listen. The sirens are now underway in Kyiv. The sirens are sounding to indicate that the city of Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, is under attack. We have had reports of missiles and explosions. Let's listen for a moment. All right, those are the sirens we had been listening for. Aaron, stand by for a second. I want to go to Richard. There we go. There's the sirens again.
Jeez.
Aaron, we had
I've been wondering, Ali.
Go ahead.
Yes. No, we had been wondering why we hadn't heard sirens. We all heard the explosions. We were wondering where the sirens were. I've been told by city officials that they had tested this system earlier in the week. They said it was working, and now, hours into this attack, we are now hearing this siren system alerting people that
Ladies and gents, y'all have a good night. Be safe and trade smart tomorrow. Deuces. You as well, Shane. Thanks for coming and joining us. Always a joy. Jeez, look at that.
The traffic leaving Kyiv now. These are all the people. Aaron's been telling us that for days and weeks there have been people who have been preparing in different ways for something that looked like an attack. But clearly a lot of people hadn't left. Aaron, what's the level of preparation that you were familiar with, the people at Underdog?
Trump was on Russia's side.
Parents who were sending their kids to school with their blood type signified in case they needed
I mean,
blood transfusion.
Putin respected Trump, and I think Trump,
Yeah, no, people
I
have
guess,
been
respected
preparing for the
Putin.
worst while the government had been downplaying
I
this threat.
guess.
People were taking it.
Trump was just crazy, and the world knew it. So don't fuck with America when Trump's president, because he's crazy enough to light your world up. Like, this ain't shit compared to what Trump would have done on Russia. I mean, you'd see shock and awe times 50 if Trump wanted to. Just that's a little, you know, political here, and I don't want to get political. Buy ticker here, USA Gold and Silver Corp. This will be 10x in a matter of days. Yo, TCI, when you're going to go live with other YouTube streamers. I don't see eye to eye with a lot of them, but a couple I would. I like Short the VIX, Mass Investors, cool too, Trey, but
So President Zelensky, as Aaron was just talking about, issued a video statement.
That would be cool. I would love to
that he took at his desk, in which
give my different take on things, because I don't hear people saying the same things that I do, but I've also been in the markets a lot longer than other people that are making AMC videos.
And he said that military installations and border posts had been attacked.
So I've seen a lot, you know, been through a lot, but
then he went on to assure the people that the government is still with them, that the government will stay in contact, and that the security services are on top of the situation. There does seem to be, as I was saying earlier, a psychological component of all of this, and some of these very early phases may be designed to get people to leave the cities, to create that panic, to create those.
I thought I short the VIX was your little bro at first.
Out of Kyiv, because there were reports of beach landings here in Mariupol. We're not seeing them. There were reports of beach landings in Odessa.
Trump would have turned the cheek on this and let Russia be Russia. Yeah.
Of anything like the Russian state
Probably.
agencies are describing. The Russians also just put out a short time ago a report that the military infrastructure of Ukraine is being destroyed, but that civilians would not be harmed. So it seems that the Russian narrative is trying to soften the population, to appeal to the people to surrender without a fight, to appeal to the military to surrender without a fight, because what is being described by the Russians and what we're seeing at this moment don't correspond.
Please, for the love of God, don't collaborate with TMI. Trump was going to get rid of NATO to let Putin do this. Well, I guess it didn't matter.
Come across the border, you're on the water. There are a whole different set of defenses or offensive weaponry and techniques that the Russians have all through the southern coast.
I guess that's a lose-lose, though, right? You know, that's a lose-lose if...
Russia has 10 warships with Marines on board currently in the Black Sea. We are on the Sea of Azov, on the coast of the Sea of Azov, which is...
Lose-lose either way, because now if Russia attacks NATO, it's World War III. If we let them just take over Europe, it's also World War III. There's, I mean, I don't know. Russia, Putin only cares about his legacy. That's the problem.
It could happen all along this southern coast, but as of now, there are no air raid sirens here. There is traffic in the streets. We saw some
LGBT streamer.
moving with their sirens blaring, but
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know too much about him. I've watched him before, but
now, as we're speaking, I just
heard on the phone with the president begging him to destroy all the documents that could be used on him.
may have been two, or that first one could have been the reverberation of the first explosion.
Oh man, super show. Oh, that's funny.
Clear explosion that we have heard since this
Smokes.
began. So we will see how that develops.
That's a good one. That's a good
On
one.
the outskirts of Mariupol, I'm right in the center now. That sounded like it was
China would take Taiwan. That's the next thing. China is paying very close attention to this.
Out here, that whatever it was loud. Richard, stay close as you get more.
Very close attention.
Richard Engel, NBC News chief foreign correspondent who's in Mariupol, Ukraine. Aaron McLaughlin is in Kyiv for us. I'm just going to ask my executive producer where she wants me to go. Mike Memley is in Washington, D.C. Mike, you were reporting to us that your colleagues have heard that the president was talking to Volodymyr Zelensky. Now we have heard that Volodymyr
Ukraine will
Zelensky
have a
has,
referendum and join Russia.
a
Jeez.
video of himself talking about the fact that
Putin only cares about Russia, just like Trump only cared about America.
We're hearing, as you just heard with Richard
True.
in Mariupol,
I could agree with that.
in the White House.
We just got a new statement, Ali, from the White House on the president's call with President Zelensky, and I'll just read it to you directly. He says, it's interesting, Ali, having read so many of these foreign leader readouts.
You know, Russia actually asked to join NATO during the, was it the Bill Clinton years? Or like he threw that idea, like he asked, like, hey, would I be allowed basically to be in NATO? And he said he got a very bad response, like that he was kind of looked down on, almost like a problem in the world or something. And that was on an interview eight months ago with Putin when he said that. SQQQ gonna look nice tomorrow. Yeah, that's true. Just saw the live videos from Ukraine, and they all been saying it's false news about the people invasion.
hours ago, Ali.
Yeah, they might not be walking into Ukraine yet. That might be a little overblown, but yeah, S&P, everything had come up a little bit, now back down over 2%. If we open up down over 2%, it gets really, really bloody. That's my guess.
The sanctions on Russian oligarchs.
And if the data is bad tomorrow, if PCE comes in really high, forget it. Forget it. Don't look at your portfolio. Don't look.
Has gone further, and we'll wait and see and try to work our White House sources to see if they'll be able to share what exactly those sanctions might be. We have some indication of what was on the table, sort of export controls, trying to limit Russia's ability to get imports, critical imports from the West, from the United States, for its manufacturing sector, for instance, potentially even sanctions on Putin directly. But we won't get ahead of what the White House has planned at this point.
Well, we are already here for the president after he's had the conversation with the G7 leaders.
That's right. That's right. The president speaking tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with his G7 counterparts, and then in the early afternoon was what the White House has told us at this point. The president
This
will
is
address
what the
nation.
missile attack or the rocket attack looked like as it was impacting the area.
I will tell you, though, that market futures are looking not very good.
This is what Russia is famous for.
And there's much to happen tonight. So
Stalin's
we'll
organs,
talk about it, but all
just
major markets
pulverizing
lower
a neighborhood
right now.
or a
We've seen
community.
spike in the price of
They don't
oil
care
as
where
well.
the shit
Crude
lands.
oil has now topped $100 a barrel for the first time since 2014. We'll keep a close eye on that as well. I want to bring in CNBC's Hadley Gamble, who's on her way to Moscow right now and has just spoken with the Ukrainian foreign minister. Hadley, what have you heard?
That's crazy, bro.
Thanks so much for having me, Ollie. So essentially, I was speaking to Dmytro Kuleba, the foreign minister of Ukraine, on the tarmac. He was en route from Washington to Istanbul, where he's going to have to take a car, essentially, to get
Before you
into
walk
Kyiv
in,
from a
yeah,
third-party
true.
Because Kyiv, of course, has cut all flights. He told me this: we are calling for the
Communist
fierce
countries will have
isolation
most of the
Russia.
world's semiconductor
This is an
supply,
attack
and we
on
will
the
be at their
world
mercy.
order.
Well, most semiconductors come from Taiwan, so that's where it would be a much bigger issue for us if China tried to take Taiwan. I believe we have a military pact to defend them. I believe, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think so. Because of that, we can't go without Taiwan semiconductors. They're too important to us.
He said 5 minutes after President Putin announced his intentions, we saw heavy artillery and rockets flying toward major cities, including the capital city of Kyiv. He said, of course, we've observed a ground invasion already.
Put city tomorrow, yeah.
And he said, I can tell you right now that
Would it surprise anyone if markets open green tomorrow morning? Yeah. If PCE comes in like stupid low, I believe last time it was. Hold on, let's see.
The open U.S. Open is looking to go 2% lower, but I have to tell you, the Asia markets have already been reacting to this story.
It was in January, 4.9% on the core PCE. PC price is about 6.5%. If this comes in at like 1 or 2, wouldn't surprise me.
The United States at the end of last year took 7% of their oil.
But I highly doubt. I would not bet you on that. I would need like a 1 to 200 odds to bet you on that.
The NATO countries were on board with some of these sanctions. It's why it took a while.
Chainsaw Massacre time. That's possible. Military installations only. He wouldn't harm innocent people. That dude doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about in the video. Yeah, no. I mean,
it's a society for worldwide interbank financial transactions. That's how world trade is done. If you can't be on the SWIFT system, anybody who's ever sent a wire, you know exactly what that is. If you can't be on the SWIFT system, you can't trade with the world. Let's go to Kyiv, the capital of Ukraine, where those sirens continue to blare as a warning that Kyiv, the capital.
Yeah, people are still flooding into bonds. Look at that. Almost down 0.1%. That's a crazy move on bonds. That's crazy. That's like a 5% move on bonds, I believe.
The sirens seeming to indicate that this capital is under attack.
Bond short squeeze? Is that what somebody said? Oh, okay.
But it has been a while since we have heard the booms, the kind of booms that woke up so many citizens here in the Capitol in the small hours of the morning, according to an advisor to the Interior Minister. Cruise and ballistic missiles had been launched on the Capitol, striking military installations and airfields. No indication so far that civilian targets have been hit.
Wall Street waking up early and panic off the war news. Oh yeah, wait till they actually wake up. Most of Wall Street is sleeping, and this is mostly algorithmic trading programs that are doing this. Wait till people wake up. Yeah. Well said. Well said. Well said, 3DP.
It would come to this, but this is the situation there now. And we have heard from President Zelensky urging people to remain calm, urging people not to panic. In a social media post that he posted to Facebook, it was kind of a selfie video that he took. It's unclear
Wheel strategy and sell cash secured weekly puts, or buy shares now and sell weekly covered calls. I'm just trying to make premium to buy more shares. Obviously you know this, but you would lock up more money by selling puts. But if you have enough money to sell puts on like good companies like PayPal or Square, that's what I would do if I had just, you know, that much money just sitting around waiting, you know.
Restrictions imposed on people living in the
straight till China wakes up, yeah.
Also extraordinary
but your premium on covered calls right now is gonna be ass because nobody's buying calls. So I would do the cash secured puts and sell those.
In Kyiv, where there are sirens, I want to go back to Ambassador Michael McFaul. We were having an interesting discussion, and then all of this news broke about explosions and martial law.
Trump is about to address the nation. Is this supposed to be bullish for AMC? The market's going down for whatever reason is bullish for AMC, in my opinion. Because you're drying up more of that money. Because like I went over, hedge funds, they're not properly hedging out their portfolios. Apple's short interest, 0.58%. It's been that. Right? So, and it's fallen a little bit. Once Apple gaps down tomorrow, right, and keeps falling, that's where all the money starts to get drained.
Just so we're clear, not revealing any names, but right now they're ready for war. They're not leaving. They're not thinking of evacuation.
Metadata Putin's war declaration video shows that it was created on February 21st, not today, 3 days before the declaration was made public. Dude, the guy is fucking just something else. Something else. Just make shit up. Just makes it up. Whatever the fuck he wants.
So just remember, it's a fast-moving story that we need.
I don't think there's. I mean, Putin knows.
You know, people I'm talking to.
Putin knows they can't beat the U.S. So I don't think it's gonna come down to that.
Older, elderly people already.
Unfortunately, Russia doesn't stand a chance against America. The best case scenario in their eyes would be us nuking each other, and then we all lose. That's their best case scenario, but they lose too.
Silly things, not silly things, but
what is Apple?
Pedestrian things like knee pads.
Yeah. What is Apple gapping down to? I have debit spreads on Apple for June, the 150 to the 145. So
I want to put up a map that shows the NATO countries.
I think it's possible Apple could fall back down to 150, 140 in that range. That would be putting them back to about October of 2021. So a couple months ago, 4 or 5 months ago. They could lose all this. They could shoot.
Ukraine needs massive military assistance. What does that look like? Can you send enough stuff? Do they have enough people trained to use it? If there aren't going to be U.S. troops, if there aren't going to be European troops going into NATO, what does military assistance look like now?
First, it's a little late now. Months ago I was writing that more air defense systems are needed. Patriots. They don't have any Patriots. Stingers. They don't have enough Stingers. That's a weapon that was used in Afghanistan, as you remember. They literally don't have they want more stingers. And I could go through a long list. I'm not a military expert, but we should have done more, and we need to do more now. Number one. Number two, it is right. We're not going to go to war with Russia over Ukraine. The president has made that clear. I think it is, however, incumbent on the president and the NATO alliance to take the necessary actions to make crystal clear that any attack on any one of our NATO allies will be an attack on all. There's something called the NATO Response Force, the NRF. It hasn't mobilized yet, Ali. I mean, why is that? Well, it was designed to do exactly this, and it was upgraded, by the way, in 2014. We haven't had consensus in the alliance. That's what I've been told by my friends in the government. Well, now it needs to be mobilized, because the worst thing that can happen from our perspective
Marching calls for Citadel.
what if the Ukrainian
I
military
hope so. Lord, Russia's nukes would never leave Russia if we had a competent leader.
what if they go into Poland to survive? Right? Remember Dunkirk? Sometimes
Putin calls Moaz anyway, Hezbollah. Oh man.
Be prepared for those kinds of contingencies. And the last thing I just need to say, this is a pretty dramatic, emotional day for me personally. I have hundreds of friends in Ukraine. We've trained 200 Ukrainians here at Stanford over the decades. It's the right decision. I support the president, but I got to tell you, I'm hearing from many Ukrainians right now. I can't believe that we now have to fight Vladimir Putin alone. And they feel alone at this very horrible, tragic moment in the history of their country.
I have to ask you, because you've been talking to people there, about the sirens. We hadn't heard them all night, and we were wondering about that because Aaron was saying that you heard explosions, and then we heard
You got the codes.
That is a chilling matter for people
Oh man,
who have not been in a city where
I'm ready.
Dude,
my portfolio is getting clapped, just beaten up. So I need to find that fucking briefcase and press the button like quick, because this shit, not working. I think it's the total opposite. I should dress in like a full market crash outfit and then watch the shit rally. That's how it feels. That's what it feels like. Time for some popcorn. This is crazy. Yeah, this is crazy.
Military defenses, right?
Benjamin after making many Benjamins.
He said we're going to demilitarize Ukraine, and then
this is a very
and then we're going to do denazification. So I still think we're in that early phase.
Bad situation.
Still attacking military targets.
I wish this wasn't happening.
But I don't want to second guess what Mr. Putin is going to do next.
I was fully prepared for it. We all were in the trading community. If you guys want to come join us, by all means, check that out. I mean, better to be prepared than not, but
they are not under attack right now, but in the rest, in the major cities, people are hearing attacks and preparing for further attacks.
Ambassador, thank you, and we're going to keep you close. You did mention you're not a general, but I got a general right now. I want to bring in the retired 4-star U.S. Army general.
From POTUS, tomorrow I'll be meeting with the leaders of the G7 in the United States, and our allies and partners will be imposing severe sanctions on Russia. Dude, I thought they were ready to go. The least you could do right now is show you're fast to react. Like, just look good, man. Just look good. You said you were ready to go. I know it takes a second, but still. Dress up in a bear suit. Got you. Got you. Yep. That's the one.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Tom Yamas.
What the hell? What the hell was that? They cut him off. What the hell just happened? Guy was talking, bro. What just happened?
The first and most telling images of this crisis is the line of bumper-to-bumper traffic. You see it right there. This is to leave, or rather to escape the capital city. Russian forces are spread along nearly every border Russian President Vladimir Putin going on television overnight announcing the attack and telling Ukrainian forces to lay down their arms. I want to get right to Kyiv and Aaron.
Yeah,
has been reporting there
just
for
don't
us
fight.
all night. Aaron,
What the
what's
fuck?
latest?
What are y'all doing? Terrible situation, very sad. Yeah. How low will AMC go tomorrow? Okay, that's a good question. I can work with that one, but
by hours of booms in all directions from where I'm standing now. The last explosion that we heard was just about 50 minutes ago.
if it's really bad, which I think you'll probably see a lesser sell-off in AMC because a lot of sellers are out of the stock now. You could go back down to 13. I think it'll be a fight, you know, to really substantially go under 14. That would be $1.50 down. That would be like 10% down. So, you know, roughly, give or take. They all need a big... yeah. Yeah, they need to...
All right, Aaron McLaughlin, part of our team reporting out of Ukraine tonight.
They need to take a load off, that's for sure.
Coverage tomorrow.
Sounds stressful.
NBC News, New York.
In Kyiv right now, you can't go east because that's where the
Oh,
danger
look
is.
at
You
that.
can't
Meet
go north,
Kevin.
that's where the danger
Good
is.
old Meet Kevin.
Indicating they're probably going west, closer to Lviv, a lot more Polish influence on that side, and very close to a NATO country.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, there's a substantial number of Russian combat units.
All right, guys. I'm going to get out of here. We were live for 2.5 hours. What a crazy day. Or night, I mean. European markets set to plunge after Russia launches attack on Ukraine. Oh, yeah. It's done. It's done. GG's. Congrats to everybody that has puts in our position. Nuketown, oh my god.
Russian armor, supported by self-held artillery. So, you know, the poor Ukrainians have...
I don't know. Unfortunately, this is 2022. It's a great start to the year. Hopefully, we all don't get drafted, and hopefully, we still have portfolios by the end of this, or houses, and hopefully the fucking nukes don't come. Nuketown in real life. But thank you guys for joining. God the Heavenly Father, 3DP. All you guys that show up and show love every single day. White, thank you, bro. All you guys. Yeah.